Your cats are scratching themselves. You have noticed a few small, very itchy bug bites on your ankles or elsewhere on your body. You decide to comb your cats and you find fleas. Oh, the horror. If you are here, you are probably proactive, health conscious cat parents, and you have reservations about using traditional monthly flea treatments on your cats. You probably already know that vet recommended spot on pipettes containing pesticides act by attacking the nervous system of insects and killing the adult fleas that bite your cat after application. But you probably also know that these pesticides can also randomly cause a really big health issues to your cats that go from vomiting to fur loss to seizures to even death. If this is you, chances are you do not want to use this stuff, and maybe you have tried some alternative natural free repellents to try and get rid of these pesky parasites, but they are not going anywhere. They are jumping on you, they are jumping on your cats, they are nesting in your house. Yes, they are. And you are thinking you might need to get the big guns out this time and use traditional drugs and chemicals to stop the flea infestation. But what if your cats end up being really sick because of this? Which drugs should you use? And is it worth flea bombing your house? Will all this dangerous chemical warfare even work? What can you do? Let's discuss. Hey there, my beautiful cat parent. We'll get back to this episode in just a moment. Really quick, I hope you're enjoying this topic, and if so, do share it with somebody you think needs to hear this today. It would mean so much to me. Also, I want to give you a gift for hanging out with me today. I want to give you my free syringe feeding formula, a short but very valuable resource that will give you all the step-by-step instructions to start training your cat to accept syringe feeding. Inside this resource, you will find all the detailed information to get you started with syringe feeding using the right equipment, the appropriate techniques, and the attitude you need to succeed and support your cats without trauma or injuries. These are the things that I teach my students, but I want to share them with you today. If you're looking at syringe feeding to start supporting your cat's nutrition as they are starting to eat less and they are losing some weight, if you're already trying to syringe feed them with little success and maybe some frustration, or if you want to start training your young cats to comply with this process nicely so that anytime you need to do this in the future, it is easy, this resource is for you. Just go to theholisticcatspecialist.com/syringe feeding like a pro and you can get it right there. Now, back to today's topic. When it comes to fleas, you do not necessarily need to blast your cats with pesticides regardless of the season. I stand by the natural alternatives that I do talk about in another video that might appear around the screen at this point. They are pretty safe when used correctly, and they are usually enough to repel fleas and keep your cats from getting them in normal situations. But if you live in a flea infested area and you let your cat spend some time outside, or if in spite of all odds you do get fleas on your cat, and you start finding 10 or 20 of them when you comb your cat's fur, it means that you unfortunately have a proper flea infestation because only 5% of fleas are actually on your cat. The other 95% is nesting in your carpets, in your soft furnishings, in the crevices of your floors, in your cat beds, and even in your bed. So what can you do? If you look around YouTube, you will find two schools of thought. One that tells you to sprinkle diatomaceous earth, also referred to as DE, everywhere and use other natural remedies, and one that shows people who indiscriminately use all sorts of traditional pesticides to get rid of these very resilient, horrible parasites. The problem with the natural way is that when you are at the stage of being inundated with fleas, this might not work. You will end up with a very dusty house because DE, unfortunately, is an extremely fine powdery substance. Inhaling the shardy powder for nothing, as fleas will just keep coming and multiply. The problem with the second way of tackling this issue is that indiscriminate use of flea bombs, sprays, and topical pesticides can cause serious consequences on your cat's health. Plus, some people report having to repeat the use of these nasty products again and again, as fleas are hard to eradicate. And of course, they are hard to eradicate, but you don't really need to repeat exposing your cat to these chemicals if you do it properly, if you do this process properly. So this is why I have made this video, because when you're not just trying to repel fleas, when you have an actual flea infestation, you are in trouble, my friend, and you need to do this the right way so that what you do is effective, but also as safe as possible. So let's do a bit of math, shall we? It has been shown that when we comb our cats with flea combs, we pick up about 60% of the adult fleas that are happily feasting on your cat's blood in that particular time. So if you comb your cat and find, say, 12 fleas, for example, that means that there are still 8 fleas hiding in your cat's fur at that moment, for a total score of 20 adult fleas on your poor cat biting away. Every flea deposits an average of 40 eggs a day, sometimes even 50, but let's say 40. So you might be looking at 800 eggs on your cat, falling from your cat and getting distributed everywhere in your home on that particular day. You can imagine what you are dealing with after 1 week or 2 weeks of not taking further action. But let's go back to that one day. When we consider that 20 fleas on your cat on that particular day is actually only 5% of the total flea population residing in your environment, this means that we are looking at 95% of the total flea population being everywhere else around you, which brings you to a lovely total of 4,000 fleas getting comfy in your house still on that particular day. Now, multiply this number by the number of days you have been finding 12 fleas on your cat when you comb them, and you will have a rough estimate of how many fleas you're actually dealing with. This is pretty dreadful, isn't it? So this is why at that point, once you have an infestation, there is no amount of diatomaceous earth, sodium bicarbonate and salt, or cedar wood chippings to deter these pests from infesting your house further. The issues you are facing at this point are natural repellents on your cats are not enough. Natural sprays and powders for your home are probably also not enough. Washing your whole bedding, soft furnishing, and steaming cat trees and carpets, including under every piece of furniture every single day, is usually unfeasible for the average person that has a life besides fighting off a flea infestation. Treating your cats with traditional pesticides is risky and probably not enough. And the one harsh insecticide that actually kills fleas when sprayed in your house, called permethrin, is highly toxic to cats, which is the reason why generally flea collars made for dogs cannot be used on cats, because they generally contain permethrin because it's very efficient on dogs. Permethrin belongs to the family of synthetic chemicals called pyrethroids and functions as a neurotoxin is in insects. And as I said, you cannot use it near your cats. At this point, it seems like you have only two choices. One is using natural stuff and potentially sharing your place with thousands of disease transmitting fleas indefinitely. Or two, using toxic chemicals on your cats and in your environment and hoping that this is not going to send your cats to the ER. Now, I do not like being stuck into a corner with two bad options. I like to find alternative options that are more palatable. So let's have a frank, real talk about this and see how you can put together a plan that can effectively get rid of your horrendous flea infestation while being as conservative as possible for the health of your cats. We will be talking, of course, about life stages and information that I discussed previously in two other videos on natural remedies against fleas, which will appear on the screen somewhere right about now. And I will also link them at the end of this video and in the description below, so you can go and watch them to get the full picture. Here is what the goals are in the unfortunate situation of dealing with a raging flea infestation. One is kill the adult fleas on your cat without harming your cat. Two is kill the fleas in your house, again, without poisoning your cat. Three is break the cycle, as all life stages of fleas must be addressed, because otherwise anything you do is non-resolutive. And four, get a cleaning routine that is effective but manageable, considering that you probably can spend 30 days straight washing your entire collection of bedding, pillows, clothes, vacuuming and steaming all your carpets, including under every piece of furniture, as we said before, on a daily basis. So in my membership, the Holistic Cat Club, I break down the whole process step by step so that you can conservatively deal with the flea infestation when natural products are not enough. I include the exact products I use, where, for how long, so that both you and your cats can come out of this flea war as winners. Now, obviously, this takes quite a while to discuss, but for now, let me give you some helpful guidelines to achieve lasting results. Step one, get all you need in advance and plan your intervention appropriately. It will take quite a while. It will take considerable time to do this. And you need to take into account that the bigger your house and the more the carpets and soft furnishing that you have, the more time consuming this process will be. Ideally, you want to aim to do this over 2 days. The first day for treating everything apart from your cats and the room that they're in, which is where you want to keep them for about 36 hours while you address the rest of your living quarters. And the second day, 36 hours later to be precise, to treat your cats and the room where they were during day one. Once your cats are allowed into the rest of the house and get out of the room where you have kept them during the treatment, you will treat that room, which will then be off limits for your cats for the following 36 hours until everything returns to normal and they will be allowed everywhere again. In step one, you will pick up all the soft stuff that you can wash and run it through the washing machine at 60 degrees Celsius. And once it is dry, you can put anything you don't need, you don't really need, in a big plastic bag, seal it, and live without it for a month or two until you are rid of these pesky, horrible parasites. Step two, treat rugs, cat beds, drapes, and furniture, and any outdoor sleeping areas with a really reputable, high quality flea spray that contains methoprene or other IGRs as one of the active ingredients. IGRs are insect growth regulators and they act by disrupting flea development from larvae to adults. Now, we know that larvae feed on organic debris like dead skin cells, hair, food particles, and so on. So that's great if they never develop into blood-sucking, biting adults because they will eventually die. IGRs are virtually non-toxic to humans and pets, and they are long-lasting, up to 7 months by some reports. So they are great for this purpose. But the downside of IGRs is that they are slow acting and obviously they don't really kill the adult fleas. So for this reason, they are usually combined with other faster acting insecticides to kill the biting adult fleas, which if not addressed, continue to bite you and your cats. This is why you need to use these sprays very carefully and change your clothes after you have sprayed these chemicals covering your entire house before you go and see your cats, for example, who are kept in the designated room. You want to avoid any contact between your cats and what you are spraying, especially when it's fresh. This is why I suggest keeping your cats away for those 36 hours. So changing your clothes is prudent to avoid intoxication when you obviously have to go and see them, to feed them, to play with them, to be with them in general. These sprays bind to fabric and surfaces once you apply them as they dry. And once they are dry, they do not pose the same toxicity to cats as they do when they are freshly sprayed. So although it is ideal to obviously never have to use them, if you do have to use them, the safest thing for everyone is to make sure that they dry completely before cats are allowed back in the areas where you sprayed. Fleas are the bane of any cat guardian who has had the experience of an infestation because they are so tiny and so hard to eradicate. When they are in the pupae or cocoon stage, they can last for ages and nothing will kill those cocoons other than fire. So since I think that you do not want to set your house on fire to get rid of your fleas, step three is a must. Step three, this is when you commit to flea comb your cat twice a day and vacuum all your floors, couches, cat trees, bedding, and under your furniture for 30 days straight after step one and step two. This is because by doing so, you will produce vibrations, and vibrations will make those cocoons hatch when the chemicals you have sprayed are most active. This is the stage when you will see still fleas both around your place and on your cats. You might freak out, but you must trust the process. I remember cleaning a spill from a carpet some days after treating the whole house. And I remember seeing newborn adult fleas literally emerging from the crevices where the carpet joins the skirtings 30 centimeters away from me, like a foot away from me. I honestly wanted to scream. I was absolutely horrified. But as tempted as I was to respray everything, I knew that the process was correct and I had to wait those 30 days and just keep vacuuming the whole place and combing my cat religiously every single day, which I did, and everything was fine. This is why what you don't want to do is to set off a flea bomb and go on holiday. So flea bombs are very popular these days. You see them advertised everywhere, but they do not cover hidden surfaces the way a spray that you direct at the environment does. You want to make sure that the fleas feel your presence and come out to bite because this, my friend, trust me, will be their demise. Now, we have not discussed treating your cats. This is indeed part of step two. As your cats get out of the designated room, you can treat them using the least invasive flea-killing chemical available, which is a pill containing nitropiram, while putting them on a safe detox protocol to help them deal with the toxins. I have created a protocol for this that combines both the detox and this flea killing active ingredient for these extreme cases of flea infestations. And I have made it so that you don't need to use as much of this chemical or as often as it is advised, which not only saves you money, because this oral flea medication can be quite expensive, but limits your cat's exposure to toxins, which is the most important thing, while still being effective, of course. I have personally found that it has worked very well with many of my clients. So if you want the full protocol laid out for you step by step, it lives inside my very affordable membership, the Holistic Cat Club, and you can simply use the link in the description below, which says DM me, and I will take care of you and set you up. I do not advise using spot-on pipettes or cat collars, especially in multi-cat households, because cats can lick each other, and this stuff is really, really toxic. Now, one more thing. Remember to throw out the vacuum cleaners bags after you vacuum, because they will contain fleas, larvae, eggs, etc. that can reinfest your environment, of course. However, since you have to vacuum for 30 days straight, an alternative to this is to buy a couple of cheap cat flea collars, not for your cats. Instead, you can place them inside the vacuum cleaner's bag, change it after a couple of weeks, then repeat the same with a new bag. In terms of your outdoor areas, if you do have a garden or a yard, you can use your friendly nematodes, which in my experience are more than enough. I have a video with more details about nematodes that you should see on the screen somewhere right about now. And if for any reason it doesn't appear, it will also be linked in the description below. Some people place soapy water in bowls around their place, and they will catch fleas during this time. And you are more than welcome to do that, of course, especially under sources of light. But just make sure that your cat does not drink the soapy water, of course. And if you simply have water in those bowls, you will still catch some fleas. But as you remove them, you have to be very quick placing them in a container with the soapy water. Otherwise, they will simply jump off because they do not drown in normal water. And yes, as I mentioned before, fleas are a huge pain in the backside. So let me know if you have any questions. And if you found this video useful, share it with someone who would need to see it too. As always, I will see you soon. And until then, love your cats as much as you can.